What's good, y'all, and welcome to my review for night one of WrestleMania 40, man. Like I said, we have reached the end of my time reviewing wrestling shows. Well, night two will technically be the end, but we are at the end with night one, man. We have reached the end of this chapter, and we have finished the story. Which, by the way, man, that tag team match, oh my god. What a match that was, man. What a match. Shout out to The Rock, man. Man hasn't been in a ring since 2013, although I'm sure he trained at the PC or somewhere else to make sure, get that ring rust in there, taking bumps again, and all that jazz. But, still, man, for a man that hasn't been in the ring for over a decade, man, he looked amazing, man. And, yeah, shout out to The Rock. Shout out to The Rock. He looked amazing this entire match. Anyway, but yeah, the show itself, man, was fantastic. I will say, if we were comparing night one of WrestleMania to Stand and Deliver, I probably would say I liked Stand and Deliver a bit more than night one of WrestleMania 40, but it was still a phenomenal show regardless. So let's start with the the Raw Women's Championship, or the Women's World Heavyweight Championship match between Rhea and Becky Lynch. And this match was fantastic, I have to say. First of all, there's a couple things we need to talk about real quick. One, we got a new intro for WWE doing the whole now, then, forever together thing, which also pretty cool. They kind of went with like a space thing with cosmics thing with comments, which I thought looked pretty cool, I gotta say, man. We saw the ring, which they never directly acknowledged on commentary, other than like, oh my god, the Prime Hydration Station. But you guys remember on SmackDown when Logan announced that Prime was gonna be a partner of WWE going forward, and it was gonna be printed onto the map, which was shown up in SmackDown, and it looked fucking ugly. And I was like, and then it was and then the weeks after that it didn't show up, so I thought it was just a thing that Logan was gonna say, but it wasn't actually a thing that they were going to commit to. Well, we found out tonight that it is, man, because because we had a Prime battle right in the middle of the ring, and on the turnbuckles, the middle one had the WWE logo, but the top and the bottom ones had Prime on it. Gotta say, man, it looks fucking ugly. Don't get me wrong, I love Prime, man. If you guys follow me on Twitter and watch my reaction clips, you guys know I'm usually drinking it during it through certain weeks. So if I grab the pack or not, but yeah, man, this ain't it, bro. This looks ugly. Get this shit off my fucking ring. Get this shit off my fucking wrestling ring, man, if you ask me personally. But anyway, regardless of that, man, I don't know if this is going to be a thing with just the pay-per-views, or if this is going to be on every Raw and SmackDown or not, because honestly, bro, it looks ugly. Just get it off. I like it. I like my mat to be clear of junk. This ain't boxing. Get that shit off my ring. But anyway, man. So Bianca, or not Bianca, although Bianca's entrance when we get that 6-man tag match was incredible. They had an amazing entrance. But for the women's match, Becky came out there, and it looks like the whole thing was about her book. She came out of a page of her book through the CGI thing that they do, and then actually it looked like on her skirt that she came dressed to the ring, which looked like they were probably passages of her book. Spread of that made up her skirt. It looks like, man, I don't know if it was for sure or not because I haven't read it, but that's what I'm assuming. So, and it looked pretty cool, I gotta say. Rhea came out there with the band of her theme song playing, which apparently is actually Rhea's favorite band, apparently, man. So I'm sure it was really cool to not only get them to do her theme music, but also to have them perform live for her as she makes her entrance on WrestleMania, man. And Rhea was fucking feeling herself, man, while it was going on, bro. You can see her had a massive smile on her face, and she's singing along to the song, and be like, "Look at my eyes, and I do or die." And I also gotta say, man, I have no familiarity with this band whatsoever. This is the only song I know from them. But I gotta say, man, I don't know if anyone else agrees with me or not, if they think I'm crazy. But doesn't the lead singer look like if Rhea had a kid with, Marilyn Manson or something? That's the first thing I thought of when I saw him, man. But anyway, they make it their way to the ring. Samantha is killing it with the announcing. She was just going off this entire night, man. So shout out to her, man. We love Samantha, man. She's fucking awesome. But anyway, the match begins, and they start off with them mostly feeling each other throughout the early portions of the match. Becky slaps Rhea, then Rhea fire back with a slap of her own, and then we're off to the races, man. Where these two women go out, obviously, Rhea's doing her thing, and she's being very dominant. And eventually we get, and then one of the crazier spots. Well, first off, we had some submissions where like Becky was constantly locking in some submissions like a cross arm breaker or trying to get in her disarmer in there while Rhea tries to get out there and she's doing her thing, man. And like a couple times we get like a couple rip ties that end up leading to near falls. But probably the craziest spot on the night was when Rhea had Becky up in the electric chair position place go when you like have that when you're carrying your opponent like where your opponent is literally sitting on top of your shoulder, that whole thing. Rhea goes to the ropes, literally goes overboard the ropes, still holding on Rhea and still holding on to Becky as Becky is also holding on to the ropes to make sure she doesn't fall off, but falls all the way over there over the top rope onto the ground, still holding Becky before she drops her on the outside. Man, honestly, it's impressive that they were able to pull that off without Becky like slipping off or whatnot, man. Like that was pretty impressive, man. That was probably the spot of the night. But anyway, Rhea would get in a rip tie to eventually finally win the match. I also gotta say, man, I liked her face paint she came out. She had like this red and purple face paint there, which initially, and it was also little bits of it on her hair as well, which makes me wonder if she was like trying to do like a little Magneto thing going on with that one, because you guys know Magneto's comic colors is red and purple. Dominic also came out dressed with similar colors as well. Don't know if there's any correlation with that, or if they were trying to maybe, like, if they're both, like, X-Men fans, and they both like Magneto or something. But I don't know if it was a Magneto reference or not, but regardless of, man, it looked really cool. But yeah, this is a fantastic match and a great way to start off the show. Next up we had was the 6-pack challenge ladder match for the tag team titles. Now, the interesting thing about this one is instead, you guys know in a typical ladder match when there's titles involved, they put all the titles onto one of the things and you grab them all, you win you win the match. Well, they did this a little differently where they had the SmackDown titles and the Raw titles split off into two different ones of the like golden hold hanger thingies. I don't know what you call them. Which to be fair, shouldn't have been. Probably should have been a clue that they were going to split the titles back off again rather than keeping them, one thing. And the Undisputed, they were going to split them back off to their separate brands. But I honestly, when I watched it, I figured that I was either thinking Judgment Day was going to win this one, retain the belts, or I was kind of hoping DIY would win it, just because you guys know I love Johnny and I would love to see him win at WrestleMania. Now, you guys know that Johnny always had this thing at takeovers where he always wear the specialty gear for these takeovers and pay-per-views, because they're special events. And usually goes to Marvel characters or whatnot, man. It's always cool. I'm always excited to see what Johnny's gonna bring. Well, today for WrestleMania, DIY came out dressed up as DX, which I thought was pretty cool. They even did the whole like screen effects things of like the X and like the logo of DX showing up there as DIY, which I thought was kind of cool, not gonna lie. I thought that was pretty cool they did that, man. But yeah, no Marvel gear this time, but we got DX instead, so I'll take it. Anyway, as the match will begin onward, I'm not even going to try to recap this match. I'll just give you all a couple of my favorite spots. Like, we have one where Tyler Bate did a airplane spin on Finn Balor, which I gotta say, Finn Balor's entrance also came out for the Judgment Day. They both wore these really cool looking masks, I gotta say. And I think they also had the red and purple thing going on as well, too, when I went back and looked at and refreshed myself on the match right before I started recording. So, I guess it was the whole thing with Judgment Day. But regardless of such, they have these really cool looking masks, man. These creepy looking masks. I gotta say, I liked what they came out with. Anyway, as I was saying, Tyler Bate does an airplane spin on Finn Balor, where he literally grabs him while Finn is holding onto a ladder, puts him on his shoulders, and then just starts spinning him around while he's still holding onto the ladder, and ends up hitting Kofi before he drops the ladder and continues airplane spinning Finn Balor just by himself. As the match progresses onward, you have Tyler Bate and Pete Dunne go into the outside, climb up a ladder, and they both do moonsaults on just a pile of the opponents. Eventually, as the match progresses onward, Grayson Waller and Austin Theory would grab the SmackDown tag team, which shocked me because, like I said, I thought Judgment Day was going to retain the belt, they weren't going to split them off. But I was like, oh shit! Okay, I'm pretty sure I even tweeted right after this. Interesting with like the eyes emoji. So I was like, okay, let's see. I'm curious to see where this is going. Are they going to split the belts off again? Is Judgment Day going to get the Raw belts? What's going on here? So, you have that, man. Eventually, as the match progresses onward, Pete Dunne and Tyler Bate would, throw Grayson Waller through a ladder. And I think that was, the last time we ever saw him in the match. Which, now that I think about, man, that ladder spot looked great. As the match progressed onward, man, eventually, of course, Jordan Devlin would get involved to try and stop that. They were going against DIY, or was a New Day, and they like throw him through a table for his trouble. But eventually, Miz and R-Truth would win the belts and become the new Raw Tag Team Champions, man. Which apparently this was actually R-Truth's first ever WrestleMania win, which is kind of shocking. I'm curious to know how many matches he even had at WrestleMania, because I don't think he's been at that many. I don't even really remember ever seeing him at WrestleMania, but I'm sure he's had a couple days. Good for him, man. Good for him that he's now a champion, man. R-Truth is always funny. And yeah, I'm not really into Awesome Truth, man. I wasn't really that big on them back in 2012 when they were originally a thing, but you know, R-Truth is always funny, man. So I'm interested to see what they're gonna do with the belts now that they have them. But yeah, the belts are now finally split off once again, and they're now back on their separate brands. So yeah. Next up was the tag team match between Rey Mysterio and Andrade Cien Almas versus Santos Escobar and Dominic Mysterio. Overall, this was a pretty good match. Nothing really to write home about, but it was a pretty solid match for what it was. Definitely one of the crazier spots was definitely seeing Rey and was seeing Andrade on the outside on the top rope with Rey on top of him doing the double cross body on the outside, man. That one was pretty sick, man. You also had him hit a 619, I believe on it was on Santos, while at the same time Andrade hit a beautiful, and I mean beautiful, moonsault onto Dominic Mysterio, man, which looked really nice, man. Later on, Elektra Lopez would get involved, and then Zelina would pull her down and then try to do her own moonsault, which I'm gonna be real, definitely did not look nearly as good as Andrade's. And you also had I forget which other guy, the LWO, but the one guy doing that thing where he two guys just grab a throw and just fling him halfway across the ramp, onto the other members of Legado del Fantasma, of Legado del Fantasma. That spot looked insane, man. I'm shocked he was able to get that much airtime, man. Of course, we were almost gonna get Rey whipping Dominic once again like we did last year, but the goddamn official decided to get involved, little motherfucker. But we would eventually end the match with these two masked luchadors, which ended up being two defensive players on the two defensive linemen or whatever on the Philadelphia Eagles team. Whatever. It was quick. It was painless. It was kind of whatever, man. I don't think the real match really needed, but whatever. Rey would win the match. I think they pinned Dom. Yeah. Like I said, nothing really to write home about, but a pretty good match for what it was. Then we had Jamie Uso versus Jey Uso. Now, I will say this right here, right now, for off the bat. The promo package before the match begun, perfect. The storytelling of the match, perfect. The match itself, kind of lackluster. I thought it was a good match, but this match felt like it never left the first gear and should have been at least 10 more minutes. If you ask me, man. I don't know what happened, man, but it feel like they were not able to go all out with this match, man. They were still in their base forms, if you ask me. So Jay came out first, and I have to say, bro, who the fuck told Samantha to call Lil Wayne the greatest rapper of all time? Listen, bro, Lil Wayne, he's a good rapper, man. I've listened to some of his songs to grab, but you're really gonna come out here and tell me with straight face he's better than Kanye? Yeah, listen, bro. Kanye has lost his goddamn mind now. But let's be real. He was an incredible rapper for his day, man. Kendrick. You really gonna tell me he's better than Kendrick Lamar, J. Cole, Tupac, B.I.G., Biggie Smalls, bro? I'm sure there's other rappers, Meek Mills. I put higher than him. Who the fuck who says, yeah, man, Lil Wayne, he's my favorite rapper. So what, some 15-year-old white boy that listens to SoundCloud rap? That was disrespectful. I'm sorry. That was a little too far. I have to say. I said, Lil Wayne's better than that. I'm sorry. But yeah, that was weird, bro. Samantha, bro. I know you don't believe that shit. Woman, I know you love music. You are a woman of taste, man. You got the Beatles. You love Michael Jackson. You love music. You are a singer. There's no way you think Lil Wayne's your favorite rapper. Ain't no way. I know your favorite rapper is probably Kendrick, J. Cole, or Tupac. Maybe she likes Kanye too. But I won't say that. You know what I mean? But Yeah, man, like that was weird, but whatever. Whatever the case may be on that. Jimmy came up first, or Jay came up first. Then Jimmy came out. Jay jumps over the top rope onto Jimmy, and we're off to the races where he's just like laying down onto Jimmy. Like the man doesn't get the chance to take his jacket off till like a minute or so into the match. So they go at it. They go out to the outside. These guys just keep going at it. Jimmy eventually takes on the offensive, and he's going after Jimmy a lot. Eventually, I'm getting their names all confused. Jay puts Jimmy up in the corner. He's like, "I'm your twin brother," and like hesitates for a minute before he eventually decides to kick his fucking head off, man. Like seriously, that sound when he kicked him, bro, in the corner. And then of course we get to the major one where Jimmy is about to hit, or Jay. Jay goes for a super kick on Jimmy, and he's like putting his hands like, "Please, I'm sorry, brother. I made a mistake." You know, he does the whole thing, and like the whole time, I'm like, this is a lie. I'm like, Jay, see through this genjutsu, my brother. See through his genjutsu. And I'm just like, okay, where's the low blow? He eventually, of course, accepts his apology, brings him in. I'm like, okay, where's the low blow? Waiting for the low blow. And then he super kicks him and goes for a frost splash. Which, of course, ended up being here from. I'm like, yep, called it. Eventually, Jay would hit his own frog splash to get in the win. Like I said, this match went on, felt like it was probably for 5 minutes, and it felt like I said, the storytelling was very good, and it definitely carried the match, a lot of it. And the promo packs for right before the match began was brilliant. But like this match should have gone on for at least another 10 minutes, man. Like I know they can do better than this, man, but I don't know. Maybe we might see this come. They could revisit this again at like SummerSlam or something. But like a good match that should have been an incredible match, man, if it was given the time it needed, man. Because this match was not given the time it needed. Next up was the 6-women's tag between Damage Control, Bianca, Naomi, and Jade Cargill. First of all, I gotta say, both of these ladies' entrances were amazing. Damage Control came out with like these geishas doing like fanning their fans, you know, right until Damage Control, and like the background had like cherry blossoms on it with like behind like a temple or whatnot. And the music they were playing for this part sounded really good too. I like the music they were playing there. They eventually came out, they actually made their entrances, and I gotta say, man, like the makeup on all three of these ladies, man, looked amazing. Like I really like what Asuka did. Dakota looked great, and Kyrie looked like she was like a Terminator, like a T-800. I couldn't get a good look at her, man, but she had like some like gray makeup on her eye. It kind of reminded me. She kind of made her look like a T-800. I couldn't get a clear look if that's what she was actually going for or not, but it looked really cool regardless. And then of course Bianca and Bianca and the others would come out there with it as they descended down on this platform with this big epic music playing, and they would all give their little entrances before they made their way down the ring to Bianca's music. Although I wish they gave Naomi a little bit more time. They gave her like 2 seconds of her song before they're like, okay, Bianca. Like I'm pretty sure they gave Jade at least a little bit more with her song, with her entrance, but whatever the case may be. Yeah, the match would go start. The match would begin, man. They end with, I believe, Naomi starting with Asuka, I believe, and Asuka would actually hit like a split leg, like I forgot what it was called, where she like split leg, splash or whatever it's called. I forget what it was, where she was like on the second rope, jumps up there while Asuka was like on the floor, and then does the splits and lands right on top of Asuka, man. It looked really cool. There's a spot with Bianca where she would get in where I believe it was Asuka and Kyrie were in the corner and she was teeing off on them. Dakota would come behind her. She would do a backflip over her, bring her in, and then when all three of the ladies were in a line, she does her standing moonsault, man, and tries to pin all three of them. It looked really cool, but it was obviously a near fall. Eventually, Jade would get into the match, and she looked pretty good. You know, nothing mind-blowing, I would say. I think she looked about as good as she did in AEW. I would say, at least just to go down my head. But yeah, she looked good. She looked good for what she was doing, man. Eventually, she would hit her finisher and, of course, win the match. We would also have Asuka hitting the mist on Kyrie. That was also pretty cool as well. That was a nice little spot as well. But yeah, a solid a solid six-man tag match. Nothing really to write home about, but a pretty good women's match between all 6 of these ladies. Next was Sami Zayn versus Walter. I refuse to call him by the other name. Still. But this was a fantastic match, man. Obviously, a big part of this was Sami doubting himself. Can he beat Walter? Can he finally defeat him and rip the IC title from him? Chad Gable was training him and all that. And overall, man, the match was fantastic, man. Which a good chunk of it was just Walter abusing the fuck out of Sami with big boots, power bombs. There's this one time where like Sami was like laid out on the top of the top rope on the top of the turnbuckle. And like Walter gets on top there and like just like, well, I think he was like holding his body down to make sure it didn't like fall off entirely off the the little like rod thing that connects the post to the turnbuckle, while pushing his like foot down on his jaw, while the rest like 1, 2, 3, that whole thing that looked pretty devastating. There were some like devastating power bombs, man, some clotheslines that Sammy sold the shit out of, man. He eventually does start to get some offense in there, with a haluva kick and kicking out some of Walter's bigger moves like the power bomb and everything, and his wife Loki starts talking shit for him in the crowd, which is pretty cool to see, man. But eventually, Sammy would hit a brainbuster. That's my impression of how Michael Cole called it. He called that move brilliantly on commentary, man. Like, that's probably the best call that I've ever heard from a brainbuster today. Honestly, it was probably the most devastating brainbuster I've ever seen in all my years of watching wrestling. Honestly, man, that thing looked nasty, man. Anyway, so eventually we get another hit and another haluva kick. I think he got like 2 haluva kicks, or might have just been 1. And eventually finally won the match and is now your new IC champion, man. Finally ending Walter's run of 666 days. Yes, 6666 was where his run ended. A fitting number, I would say. But yeah, man, shout out to Walter, man. He did an amazing job, and also of course Triple H as well, booking him. Did such an amazing job with the IC title, man. He definitely brought legitimacy back that title when it desperately needed, man. And yeah, no lie though, I'm obviously happy for Sammy, and it was a great moment for Sammy that he got the IC title and won at WrestleMania. A part of me thinks that Chad Gable, with all the matches that Chad had with Walter, that should have been him to be the one to finally dethrone Walter, man. I don't know. Tell me what you guys think in the comments, bro. But I feel like it should have been Chad Gable, man. Because those matches he had were really good. The stories they were telling, man, was fantastic, man. Don't get me wrong, Sammy's amazing, but like, I don't know, man. I feel like it should have been Chad, personally, man. Kind of looking back at it and everything. But yeah, still a phenomenal match, man. This is probably my second favorite match of the card, probably behind the main event, probably. And then finally, the main event, the tag team match between Seth and Cody versus The Rock and Roman Reigns. First of all, I have to say, and I mentioned this at the start, but I gotta say it again. Rock looked amazing for a man that hasn't been in a wrestling ring since WrestleMania 29 back in 2013. Man, he looked incredible, man. That man hasn't missed a beat. He hasn't missed a beat in the like 10 plus in like a little over like 10 years he's been gone, man. But yeah. Anyway, so yeah, he looked amazing. He also one of the coolest entrances ever, man. Like with the graphics they were showing on there, the music, and he had like a flaming Brahma bull surrounding him, man. It was pretty hot, man. I'm not gonna lie. This match went on for like 40 minutes, so I'm not even gonna try to recap it. I'm gonna just tell y'all some of my favorite spots. Where we had and going with Seth and like Rock. Obviously that was a big one. Like waiting for like Rock to get in there, and eventually he does get in there, and Seth and Rock go at it for a while. They go into the outside, and the rep starts counting. He's like, "Hey!" And the Rock tells him, "If you count, you're fired." He uses his power, and he starts beating him on the outside before bringing him back inside the ring. You have him targeting Seth's leg, curb stomps, spears through the barricade, Rock bottoms, Cody hitting a Rock bottom onto the Rock on the announcement, which is insane. Double pedigrees, which will always be weird to see Cody in a pedigree. I will always feel like it's blasphemous to see such a sight, man. Yeah, you got that, man. Of course, you had Mama Rhodes in the crowd, man, and Rock was, talking his talk to her as well and bringing out the belt. Cody would try and go for triple crossroads, but on the third one, he would get hit with the belt before Rock would hit a second people's elbow to win the match, which surprised me, man, because and else you had Roman spearing Rock, and Rock sold the shit out of it too. I have to say, man, he really sold that spear. But I gotta say, I was kind of surprised with this because I figured that Rock was gonna take the pin, and this would lead to eventually Roman looking at the Rock sideways, being like, "How dare you disgust me," and obviously leading into them where they finally have their match, whenever that might be, next year's WrestleMania, SummerSlam, a Saudi show, whenever we finally do get the inevitable Roman Reigns, which I do think we'll get there. I still think that, and Rock himself said that he's not done yet. This is not his last match. He ain't done yet. So that match is still very much in the cards, man. And whenever they can work out to make that match a reality, man, we'll get to see it there, man. But that's what I was expecting. That was what they're gonna do to lead to the match. But no, Rock ended up taking. But no, it was Cody that ended up taking the pin. Rock winning it, and we will be having Bloodline rules for the main event, which also definitely makes me curious on what the hell's going to happen during the match, because you know, shit's going to be crazy. Jay's going to be there. Solo's going to be there. The Rock's probably going to be in the ring. They're going to throw everything in the kitchen sink at Cody, and I love the shot from the cameraman where they had a very shot of when Cody after the match was echoed very much the same look he had when he lost at WrestleMania last year, man. So shout out to the camera crew for that, man. But yeah, this was a fantastic match, man. Easily a 7-star classic, if you ask me, man. And yeah, Rock looked incredible, man. Like I think that bears repeating, man. He looks so fucking good in this match, man. Like, shouts to the Rock, man. Shouts to the Rock, man. He definitely built different. But yeah, that's all I got for you guys today on night 1 of WrestleMania. Overall, my final verdict for the show is going to be a 9 out of 10, guys. Like I said, I like Stand and Deliver definitely a lot more than night 1. We'll see how night 2 turns, because that's when a lot of the bigger matches that I'm looking forward to having. Of course, we have Brock and we have Cody and you know, Cody and Roman. We got Seth. We got that's where we got Io and Bailey. So I have a feeling night 2 will probably be better than night 1, but we'll have to wait and see on that, ladies and gentlemen. Anyway, guys, hope you guys enjoyed the video. Like if you did, subscribe if you're new. Follow me on social if you feel like it. Links across below. And it's always back for more. See you guys next time.